Hello, Mustang fans, and welcome to the Mustang Owners Podcast. I'm John Clore, Enthusiast Communications Manager for Ford Performance, along with my co-host, Mike Ray, President of the Mustang Owners Club of Southeastern Michigan and the International Council of Mustang Clubs. You know, we've long said that everyone has a Mustang story, so that's why we work so hard to bring you the inside stories behind all the cool cars, the clubs, the collectors, and the characters in the Mustang and Ford world. And Mike, tonight, in the Ford world, you can't get much better than tonight's very special guest.
Yep, and I got a special story to share too. One of the first run-ins I had with our guest.
I don't know if I'd use run, and it's kind of scary to say run.
Probably an understatement. Yeah.
The folks we have tonight, Henry Ford III. Henry, thank you so much for joining us on the Mustang Owners Podcast.
Oh, it's great to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Good to be with you guys.
Well, we know how your time is and how it was when we were working with you. And for those people who are, I know everybody reads up about you, and you were so busy with the company and especially involved when you worked with me at Ford Performance, all the things you did with all the people and the Mustangs. And somebody asked me, they heard that you were a math teacher at one time. Is that true?
It is true. So before I started working at Ford, right after college, I was a teacher for about 3 years. I taught high school math. I got to remember now. I taught 10th grade math, and then I taught 6th and 7th grade math and English.
Now,
what schools, Henry?
I taught at a school. Actually, I was living in Northern Virginia at the time, just outside of DC, and I taught at a school there. And then I actually taught at a study abroad program for high school sophomores in Switzerland, of all places.
Now,
wow.
Mike was
all over the place.
Mike, go ahead and ask him, because Mike's favorite question is, does anybody really, be honest? And Henry, if there's one thing you are, it's you're a straightforward guy. Has anybody ever really used algebra after they graduate?
They have.
What?
They have.
Are you serious?
They're called engineers.
Oh.
Very important. And calculus.
Oh, geez. Well, there's another one I bombed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm in the communications center. So,
that's great.
So, and then somebody had asked me, I guess you were at an event out in, I don't know if it was the West Coast, and they said, Henry told people at this, you were the speaker there. Henry told people that he was working at a car dealership. And I said, yeah, didn't you work at Galpin Ford?
Yeah, I did. So when I was in grad school, in business school, I had an internship between my first and second year, and I remember calling up my dad one day, and I said to him, I got to figure out what I want to do between semesters. And I said, I kind of thought about working at a dealership. What do you think? And he said, well, I think that's a great idea. We should call Bert Bachman. So
Bert Bachman.
We got on the phone with Bert and Bo and Brad as well at the time, and had a great chat with them. And I said, listen, is there any way that I could do an internship with you guys for the summer? I said, you don't need to pay me. I said, but I just want the experience. And they said, sure. And it was great. I mean, so yeah, I was selling cars. I worked in service. I worked in F&I. I worked in used, new. I mean, kind of all over the place. So yeah, it was. And the summer I was selling. So this was the summer of 2009. So that was when the economy really dipped.
Yeah.
And in August, they passed the Cash for Clunkers bill, which gave huge financial incentives to people to trade in old cars for new cars. So when I was selling on the lot in June, things were dead. And then in August, it was like a total rebirth of the industry. So it was a wild summer.
Now,
wow.
Mike, can you imagine? See, so Mike, what you're going through every day. Henry's been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Henry's...
No, that's great. I mean, the experience he just said he had, that's every department basically there is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very well rounded and dove into everything to see how it works. And I'm sure that just, relayed into the career, right? I mean, that helped you out understanding things.
Yeah, no, it was hugely valuable. I mean, as you guys know, the auto industry is so complex as it is, and there are so many different stakeholders. And, to see how Ford interacts with different stakeholders and to understand the viewpoint from different sides is hugely valuable. So yeah, I learned a ton. I learned a lot that I still use and leverage every day.
Well, we could tell, Henry, and everybody who's met you on the road and when you've gone out to speak for Ford or at events, could tell that you can engage at that level with people. And I know that I think one time you were telling a story. I don't know if it was one of our internal meetings or someone you told it to the press, but you said that someone at the showroom came up to you and you had a name badge that said Henry Ford, and some guy goes, "Oh yeah, sure."
Yeah. No, and then, they thought I was making it up, and I don't blame them. I would probably think that too.
So, Mike,
So I had to get out my wallet and show them my driver's license to prove that I was what I was.
Everybody, all those crazy questions. They're like, "What's it like to grow up the son of Edsel Ford and to be in Ford Motor Company?" The cool, refreshing thing is, you became a math teacher. You worked at the dealership, and you're looking for what you want to do. So obviously, Edsel didn't kind of force you. You're gonna someday run the company and force you into anything. He wanted to see where you wanted to take your career path.
Yeah, no, I really am grateful to both my mom and dad. They never pressured me into anything really growing up. I mean, I think they wanted me to do something that I was passionate about and work hard and same as everybody. So I never felt any force or any pressure to go work at Ford. Honestly, I probably would have been a teacher for a couple more years, but I joined Ford in February of 2006, I think, and that was really when the economy was on the verge of sort of collapse, and we were entering the Great Recession. And I just didn't want to see things go south from the sidelines. I wanted to get involved and play some kind of role, and so I kind of felt that natural sort of pull to join the company, and it worked out.
Was labor relations as tough as it sounded?
No, so I think it was easier, honestly, back then. That was my first role in the company, and so we had a big contract negotiation in 07. Right. So the prep work obviously began in 06 or even 05, and yeah, I mean it was I think it was less contentious back then, but we didn't have we didn't have social media back then.
Right,
it was a lot less. Yeah, it was a whole different world.
It's a whole nother world. And
yeah.
So someone had said because of your mathematical background, that's why you wound up in financing or in financial affairs. And I said, I don't think so. But was it something you just gravitated to, or was that kind of somebody said, here's some paths you might want to go down?
Oh, when I worked in investor relations,
purchasing. Listen, nobody that works at Ford loves purchasing. I hate to tell that. They're the villains.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I've kind of been all over the place. I mean, I started in labor relations, then I worked into purchasing, then I worked in sales and marketing, then I worked in corporate strategy, then I worked in investor relations, and yeah, I mean, I guess I purposely kind of wanted to move around a lot. Going back to my earlier point, I just feel like it's been helpful for me growing up through the Ford world to kind of see things from different viewpoints and from the vantage point of different stakeholders, and so it's been really helpful.
So go ahead, Mike. I know you're going to say, what was your first exposure and reaction to the Ford Mustang?
So my first exposure. So I don't think I've ever actually told this story.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
So
exclusive right here.
So so a little kind of background and context. So as you and many of your listeners will remember, back in the mid to late 80s, Detroit had a Formula One race, and it had a Trans Am race, and it had a bunch of great street racing. CART was there for a long time, or Champ, or I don't know, I forgot what the acronym was back then. And so my dad was and still is very much into racing, and so he kind of got me into it at a very young age. And I remember that he would, so when Formula One would come to town every summer, back in the 80s, he would take me. And so I was born in 80. So, so my first Formula One race was in Detroit at age, 6 or 7, but he wouldn't take me he wouldn't take me to the real actual race because he felt that was, I don't know, either too dangerous or too much or whatever. So he would take me to the practice sessions and the qualifying. But when Trans Am came to town, he would take me to the actual Trans Am races. And so I mean, Trans Am was it just had a big impact on me growing up. I mean, so, like in probably the early to mid 80s, you had like Willie T. Ribbs and Tom Gloy racing the Mercury Capri. And then you had, I think, Scott Pruitt was racing the Mercure XR4 TI for a while. And then, in sort of the like late 80s to early 90s, you had like Dorsey Schroeder and Tommy Kendall and Ron Fellows all racing Mustangs. And, they just like totally dominated Trans Am back in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. And so honestly, my first exposure to kind of the Mustang was really through Trans Am racing. And I had a really good friend of mine who lived in Michigan, and he moved down to Atlanta, Georgia when I was in, I don't know, like 7th or 8th grade, 6th grade maybe. So I went down to visit him one summer, and his dad somehow had a connection with someone at Road Atlanta. And the Trans Am guys were doing some testing, I think, at Road Atlanta the weekend that I happened to be down there. So he took my friend and me to Road Atlanta. And, I mean, it was a blast, and got to, meet some of the drivers and watch the testing. and he drove a Mustang. My friend's dad drove a Mustang. And so I remember my friend was really trying to convince his dad that he should let us drive his Mustang. Now, I think maybe like, then this is where it's a little hazy. I'm not sure if he like wanted to drive in the parking lot or on the track. And we were, we didn't have our licenses yet. So we were like 14, maybe 13 or 14. I remember my friend was just grinding him. And as you guys know, if you get like, your kids just like, if they're just like after you for something, like at some point you kind of just like, you just sort of like give in.
Yeah.
So he let us, and now this is the part of the story that I don't remember crystal clearly, but somehow after practice was over and the track was empty, he got us out onto Road Atlanta, and he let my friend and I drive his Mustang slowly. Obviously, I mean, he was a responsible parent.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to cast any negative
aspersions. He'd lose Etzel as a friend forever for something.
So he let my friend and I drive his Mustang around Road Atlanta at I don't know, I think we were, as I said, 13 or 14. And it was like, I mean, I was just like beyond, it was just the most amazing thing. I mean, I was driving probably 20 miles an hour, but it was just, incredible. It was nothing like I'd ever experienced before in my entire life.
Well, technically you were on private property, so it wasn't against the law.
Right. Exactly.
That is unbelievable. Yeah. See, Mike?
Yeah.
You could tell that was going to happen.
You heard it here first. That's right.
Well, we're hearing it here first. Yep.
It's so important to us because, like we said in the intro, everybody's got a Mustang story. And then, when I got to the point of, they said, hey, SVT got disbanded, and I wound up going over to racing. And then they said, hey, racing's going to change, and we're going to be called Ford Performance. And we had a couple of different bosses, and then all of a sudden they said, well, who's going to be the new boss? And they said, Henry Ford III. I go, no, seriously, who's going to be the new boss? And when you came in, Mike, you could feel, and Mr. Dave Parasak real well, but you could feel the chemistry between Dave and Henry right off the top. And Henry, you gave him a lot more credit because you could have been rough on Mr. Parasak. But you guys were a riot just to see you work together, because usually marketing and engineering are doing this. They're, and you weren't like that at all.
Well, I mean, it was an honor and a pleasure to work for Dave, and it was a really fun experience. But we had, we were launching both the Ford GT road car and the race car almost simultaneously. and it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So, there was no time for any type of conflict or territorial disputes. We kind of had to work together and we had to go quick, and it was a lot of fun. And Dave is, Dave is an amazing guy, and it was just as I said, it was a real pleasure to work for him.
Well, Mike still wonders how he got into that movie and it became the Dave Parasak story. I think Raj, when Raj Nair wasn't even mentioned, somebody knows how something's up.
I love it.
Wasn't something up, Mike? He said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I remember this, Henry, but when we previewed A Faster Horse, I think you were there, your dad was there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Bill was there. I mean, all the people on the engineering team, the marketing team. I brought Gail Halderman, the original designer of the Mustang, because I got to know him for about 10 years with my work with the clubs. And I brought him, and he was on a cameo on this as well. So we're walking down the stairwell, and I think you and your dad were in front of us. Mike, you know this story.
Oh, yeah.
I said, Gail, a Hollywood movie about the Mustang, and we were in it. What did you think of that movie? And everybody, you included, I think, Henry, you all stopped, and you looked back up at Gail Halderman to see what he was going to say, and he said, too much chlor, not enough Halderman. And I said, that's in front of my boss.
True
You
story,
said that
yeah.
right in front of Henry. But that's the kind of Mustang people. And, Henry, you must know this from working at Ford and all the people that have been associated with Mustang. Almost everybody in that program was a special person. There's something about the Mustang program draws all the people at Ford that really have that passion to be on that program.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it really does. And, I mean, as you, I don't need to tell this to you or any of your listeners. I mean, it's an iconic vehicle. And I think if you work at Ford, to be associated with the Mustang it's like, it's like winning the Super Bowl. I mean, there's nothing better.
Well, that was real. I got to tell you, so there are several times that after Mike and I go to an event or we hang out with any of the Ford execs or some of the guys in marketing or even in the engineering teams, we'll walk away and we'll say, boy, that guy was a real jerk. No, we want
never.
But with you, Henry, I don't know if it's from maybe your dad and mom raised you right. It's just the way you connect with people. And every time I talk about you and working for you, there's something about you guys that your dad did something right. It's the same way with that soul. You just connect on a different level. And I think working for you, that made the difference. And when we talked about youth marketing, I'm in the legacy marketing business. You were kind of alone in many of the managers at that level who understood the value of a loyalist group and the value of loyal Ford customers, your customer base. And Mike used to say this all the time as a club president for what, Mike, 25 years now? 20 years?
20
years?
Yeah.
That, Jesus didn't preach the gospel by himself. He had 12 buddies.
Yeah.
And our 12 buddies are our clubs to go out there and go sell Fords. And in many ways, Henry, I think they sell Fords better than we do because they just love this company and they're just so devout. And the club members go out. Once you get them wound up, they're awesome. All we need is give them the Ford Bible and they can go do it,
Yeah.
And Henry, I think you stood out to me. I mean, I've been at Ford 25 years to understand the value of that. Because a lot of people, well, you already bought a Mustang, so why don't you go to a Toyota meeting? And that's not the way it works. The brand disciples, I think, you understood that so uniquely. Why was that? I mean, was it hanging around with your dad and going to races, meeting people? What was it about you that kind of separated you? Man, I know that that's a value to Ford. You have this army of loyalists.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I do think that there is a lot of appreciation for kind of our enthusiast group nowadays within the company. But I feel on a spread. I feel just maybe a different level of appreciation because I don't know. As you guys know, and your listeners know, I mean, Ford is such a unique company, and what I love about Ford is that it's not like it doesn't necessarily like belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone. Like everyone can take a piece of Ford and make it their own. And whether it's the Mustang or the Bronco or F-150, I mean, you name it. It's there. We have a great stable of iconic emotional products. And the people who love those products are, they're part of our family, and they add so much value, not just to us, but to each other. And, we have these great clubs and these great communities, and they just love Ford. And, how could you not appreciate that? I mean, it's just, it's magic. And I really don't think there are many companies out there who can say that they have what we have. And it's a privilege and it's an honor, and it's not something that we can ever take lightly.
And John uses that in all his presentations, right, John? There's no other following like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've, the program that you helped me get started, Henry, the Club Connect program, now has almost 600 registered clubs with Ford Motor Company on every continent except for Antarctica. And Jim Owens wanted to go start a club in Antarctica.
We gotta get Jim on a plane down to Antarctica.
No, I'm not going, Henry. The transit van you bought me that says club, that doesn't float. but when it touches, we look at the Facebook footprint as well. We're looking like 1.4 million people who are actively involved in the hobby and doing what Mike does here in the Detroit area, which is to gather the troops and go on any given weekend, celebrate the products that Ford has made so famous. I for one, there's every single club in your portfolio, including the Pinto Car Club of America. They have 5,500 members. We were at Carlisle when they did their anniversary. I bought them pizza and celebrated them because from them to the Ford GT, every Ford vehicle has a enthusiast club.
A club.
I don't know if you can say that about any other.
Yeah, no other brand can say that.
No, I agree. It's really special. It's really, really special.
Well, the other thing we do, Henry, and we want you to know that, when you come to one of our events, and we'll take you on the inside of what we tell our fans, is, we never, at Ford, when you have such a company, 121 years old, and, it's the story of America about the entrepreneurship, and, they put the world on wheels, the Model T, the Model A, we gave us the V8 and or the Model B, and then, winning the war with the arsenal of democracy. And then in the 50s, the glorious Finns and the styling, the design, the romance that Americans have, the love affair with the car. That's all, to me, that's pure Ford. And it's such a joy to be able to go up there and say, hey, we don't need gimmicks. We got, guys like Carroll Shelby and Steve McQueen and Parnelli Jones, who just passed recently. We had superstars. We didn't need hamsters to sell our product. No gimmicks needed at Ford Motor Company.
I couldn't say it better myself. It's just our history. It's our legacy, and it's real. It's not, there's nothing phony about it.
No, and that's why Mike and I both went and cried. Mike, did we go to Miller's Bar when we heard that you were leaving the company, Henry? Because we thought, soon you would be at the helm, and we just have to watch you. And then you wound up going to the board of directors, and I said, oh, he's going to the board of directors. And I know that's an important part of the company. It's always been connected with, what people do in their communities. But, that work has got to be totally different. But are you enjoying your time there?
Yeah, I am. It's been great. It really, it's given me, it kind of sort of, again, going back to my previous comment, it's yet again sort of a different way of looking at the company. And, we have obviously a fiduciary responsibility to all of our shareholders and stakeholders to ensure the long-term sustainability of the company. And that's something obviously that we all take, not just the board, all of us take that very seriously. And so to be a part of, the discussions and governance process, and it's an honor for me to be a part of that group, and I really enjoy it. We talk about so much at the board, and we cover so many topics. It's given me kind of a different level of, I think, breadth over a lot of the topics that impact Ford and the industry. So it's been a great learning opportunity, and I really enjoy it.
Well, do you get out much? When Mike sends a note saying, they're doing this or that, do you still get a chance to get out and drive a cool car or hang out with some of the crazy people that Mike puts together?
I do.
Oh, you
Well, I'm going to hopefully try to make it to the Dream Cruise coming up here. I'm going to have my I've got so we have a daughter and two boys, and my wife and my daughter are going to be away that weekend. So I'll have my two boys with me. So we'll try to make an appearance at least some of the spots along Woodward. But yeah, no, I mean it's great to be out with with the enthusiasts and with all of the Ford extended family, and it's always great to be a part of it. It's just
well, Henry, we actually have something. I know you've heard of the show, probably Mustang Memories, which is the day after the Dream Cruise, and it's literally in your backyard at World Headquarters.
Oh, cool!
And
Yeah,
and that's the 18th, the day after the Dream Cruise. So
and this year,
you're more
Henry,
than welcome to be
this
there.
year, Henry, just because there's a lot of people in Mustang's lore.
Here we go.
The second gen Mustang didn't get as much love. Of course, that was around when I was growing up, and my dad was a cop and my brother was a Woodward street racer, so I had a Mustang too. And I threw about Mike, was it 9-10 years ago at World Headquarters? We threw the first national convention there, and we got like over 80 cars. So this year, the car turned 50 years old. So we're doing special things. We got Buck Mook, the former designer, and a lot of the engineers. We're going to have the dinner, and we're inviting a Farrah Fawcett Majors. We call her the Reunion Angel, and she knows you. Her name is Lauren Parrott, and she went to University Leggett with you. And she's going to be, Mike, dressed up as the Farrah.
As Farrah Fawcett.
Taking pictures with Mustang 2s at World Headquarters, and she said to say hi.
That is hilarious. I do know Lauren. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Lauren in years. That would be so fun. That's great.
So you got to come out and hang out with us.
If you're real good, we'll let you have a picture with our Reunion Angel.
Yes.
Again, we don't need we don't need gimmicks. We just have great history with these great cars.
Well, John, I gotta talk about pictures with people. So I gotta say, I got two favorite pictures in my whole career lifetime, right? And both of them are on this podcast here tonight. So the first one, there's two different ones in no particular order, but John, me, you, and Dave Parasek at the 50th Heroes Banquet with Dave standing on the milk crate that Raj pushed over there. And my other one is at the unveil of the launch of the GT350 in Gardenia with myself, Henry, and Aaron Shelby. And remember my big post that got so many hits on that, it kind of went viral, and I said, "Standing with the future." And I was standing in between Henry and Aaron, and man, those two are my all-time favorite picks in my 20 years of doing this, are those two with you guys.
That's cool.
Well, he's a photo bomber, Henry, so just...
Yeah, Henry knows. I've got a few of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, and what he's not telling you is, this whole joy of the hobby, and you guys really, you make it so much easier when you get the support of the company and you do these fun things, and the company appreciates your efforts. But Mike has been out there, pounded the pavement. God bless all the clubs that do this, because Henry, I got to tell you, the joy that it brings when you come out, or your dad comes out, or one of the engineering teams, Mike, it does make a difference for people, because the
biggest difference ever.
Henry, they do feel like they're part of your family. Like they bought the car, and they don't buy a vehicle, they're buying a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yes. And you could tell the passion with everybody. Everybody's real. It's not a 9-to-5 job for anybody. And that's the reason, I love Ford so much, is that everybody is true and real about it. Henry, yourself, your dad, you're true car guys. And that's the way it should be. You know what I mean? And I think everybody appreciates that. That's why when we see anybody out there, especially of a big name in our industry, it's a big deal, and people really, really appreciate it and know that it's all real.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is. And, I think we're so lucky to be in an industry and with a company that has, these loyal followers and this passion, this energy. You just can't make it up. It's really, as you said, it's a way of life. It's, it's just incredible.
Well, after this podcast airs, there's probably going to be a grassroots effort led by Mike Ray, probably, to at one time do a write-in vote for you to eventually take us into that future. Because Henry, really, you're not with the company anymore, so I don't have to be nice. but you really, I've worked for a lot of managers, and you really, not only as a Ford, but as just a good guy and a great manager, we really appreciate what you did for us at Ford Performance and what you did for clubs and the way you treat people. It just speaks volumes about Ford Motor.
And if I can add in there too, John, Henry, I don't know if you remember us talking at Barrett Jackson when I was with Roush in my Roush days. I think you were kind of amazed on how many vehicles actually were heading out from Roush Performance with the Ford vehicles, with the F-150s and that. And John, you remember the big tagline we had, the Partners in Performance?
Yeah.
That was Henry that approved that with us back then. So, and that meant a lot and a big deal and played a big role. And yeah, we were moving a lot of vehicles, and it was all because of the partnership and how everybody got along great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you guys saying that. It's very kind, and I really do. I believe in what you guys do, and I believe in who you're doing it for and why you're doing it, and I really appreciate everything you guys do. So, it was. I loved being in the performance job, and honestly, I mean, I know this is a cliche thing to say, but it didn't feel like a job because it was so much fun. And
right.
It's just, it doesn't feel like a job when you're having fun and when you're around people who just love Ford and just feel that passion every day. And so it was a great assignment. One of my favorites for sure.
Well, Mike, I think you should invite him then. Since he took a car on the track when he was 14 or 15, Henry, a lot of your compatriots come up to the Mohawk Track Experience on Woodward Week and Gingerman Raceway. And I bet you, Mike, anybody at that track would give Henry their car to go out and flog it and have some.
Absolutely.
And Henry, even if you put it in the tires, they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Because they could say, Henry Ford III wrecked my car.
I did. No, actually.
Don't ever say that.
So I will tell you very quickly. My most embarrassing track story was when I was interning at Galpin. We went up to Willow Springs for an event one weekend, and I was on track, and I thought I was doing okay, and then it was turn 4, I think, when you're kind of going uphill a little bit. I turned in too soon, and I just got the weight. I got the rear spun out, and I basically did a 360 off of the track onto the dirt.
Oh, wow.
And thankfully, the car was fine.
Okay.
I was in a Mustang, obviously. I was fine. Nothing. The only thing that was bruised was my ego, as they say. But it was a little embarrassing, to say the least.
What?
John, does that remind you of an SVT Lightning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It does. My when I was at Auto Week, 10 years almost, never put a scratch on anything, even a Ferrari, you name it, Porsches, Vipers, driven everything home. But I've been on the track, although at one time I did have a 911, had my taillights pass me up like you, Henry. That happened. But so all those years I get hired in at SVT. My first program was at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, launching the 95 Cobra R. And of course, all the big wigs left. I was the last wave of just the Mustang books. And back then we didn't have marketing money or advertising. We went through the Buff books. So we told our story to them, and they told our enthusiast story to the world. So that last day, I'm leading the group on the back roads in a SVT Lightning. Now, this was the first gen Lightning, Henry. So I'm completely exonerated. We didn't do the suspension on it yet. But we had we're coming in the back way through Charlotte, and we went down this big steep hill and made a hard right. Well, the night before it had rained, and I didn't see a big pile of sand at the bottom of the hill. And I got down there, we were a little hot. The Lightning got a little sideways, and my co-driver from Roush said, "Oh, you got it." And I tried to collect it and went the other way. He said, "Well, you got it." And then we slid across the road, and in front of a guy's house, there were 2 big rocks, and the wheel grabbed one of the rocks and put the Lightning on its roof. And he said, we're looking at each other upside down, and he said, "You ain't got it." So John Coletti said, where did Ford find this lunatic from Auto Week? And then I remember the chief engineer, Al Saddam, had said, "Well, we always wanted to test a convertible Lightning." So that's how I wound up going to the Bondurant school back then, and legendary stories were made of me.
Yeah.
And Henry, that's because, all those years as a journalist, I couldn't hide my love for Ford. I went on every Ford long lead, and as a journalist back then, you were supposed to be impartial, but I just couldn't hide it anymore, and I had to jump ship, and it's been a love affair ever since. And I can't tell you how appreciative everybody. We hope you have an open invitation for everything we do here, Mike, in Detroit or elsewhere.
Thank
you come along
always, yes.
Thank you.
Speak at our banquet. And Mike, doesn't he get free pizza?
Yeah, he'll get free anything everywhere he goes.
I can't turn that down.
Okay.
Sold.
Oh, well, Henry,
but like, wouldn't you think the club would love to hear from him like that? And I hear a couple stories like that too. That would just be amazing.
Yeah, well, some night. So someone asked me to tell you. So it was Henry, then Etzel, then Henry, then Etzel, Henry. So are your boys Etzel?
I do, yeah. So I named, we named, my wife and I named our oldest son Etzel. And
that's awesome.
So there is an Etzel the third running around. He's about yay tall, and he's currently 6 years old.
All right, Mike.
That's awesome.
The club will take up a collection for the Power Wheels Mustang and send it to your house, Henry.
Actually, I just had to buy him a bigger. So we have a Bronco Power Wheels. We've had it for a couple of years. And I just had to go buy him a bigger battery for it because it felt that he was mad it wasn't going fast enough. So,
oh, you rock! You rock!
See how that goes.
Mike, how lucky are we to even talk to this great guy, Henry? I really appreciate your time tonight. Everything you do turns to magic for us. So please keep it going. Best of luck at your career at Ford, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Great to be with you, and thank you for everything you do, and thanks to all the listeners out there who are passionate Ford Mustang folks. It's great. We have a great Ford family here, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Oh, believe me, the pleasure's all ours.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that was Henry Ford III. Mike, how lucky are we just to be able to hang out and talk with Henry? And
this is why we do it.
What a
the
blessing.
Appreciation we have for everybody just makes everything great.
Yeah,
I mean, it provides benefits and everything to every Mustang lover there is in the world.
And my buddy he got a job at General Motors, and I said, "Yeah, I got a job at Ford, and I work for a Ford. You work for a General?"
Yeah.
So It was really great, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Well, that's a wrap for this edition of the Mustang Owners Podcast. But don't forget to check out the enthusiast section of FordPerformance.com every week. And if you haven't already done so, get your Mustang Club or Facebook group registered on FordPerformanceClubConnect.com. Thanks to Henry, that thing exists. And all of your Mustangs registered on the Ford Special Vehicle Registry.com. You can also find out what Mike's Mega Club is up to by visiting Moxum.com. And please make sure you're subscribed to the Mustang Owners Podcast so that you can be notified every time a new episode is uploaded. And as always, we welcome your comments and suggestions that you send us at clubhub@ford.com. So until next time, we'll be looking to catch you down the road.